I don't know. I just told her I'm on a call with you so she doesn't,
All
because
right.
obviously still. All right, ready.
All right. So let's go. Oh, recording. Oh, it's recording. Okay, awesome. So we will begin, and I will call you June.
June.
June. Oh, actually, yes,
Such
recording.
a. I thought it was a spelling mistake. The June with the D, but no.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
Oh,
some
Pepper's
random.
snoring.
Oh, Pippa.
So
All
it's not
right,
me
let me
snoring.
find where. Okay.
Where are
Okay.
you? Or is that your
Hi, June.
background?
Sorry,
Is that you or your background?
that's my background. All right, ready? Time is
I'm ready.
12:41. We've got to go till
30 minutes.
30 minutes. All right, and action. Hi, June. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good, good. How were you after our conversation yesterday?
Oh, good, look good, because I just, it's completely, it's taking its toll, and I really, I love education. I want this to work, so I'm looking forward to what plans and you might have, the ways you might be able to help me. So we'll see how we go. Just feeling a
Awesome.
bit flat about it all, but also excited about the potential to sort of turn it around if we can.
Awesome. Now, I did send you through our overview of our discussion yesterday with
Yeah.
some goals and some strategies. Did you get a chance to have a look at those?
Yes, I had a very quick look. I must admit I've been really busy because I had an on-call shift I had to pick up. So
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
no, fair enough, fair enough. Well, we'll go through those today, and obviously, then we can touch on each of the points that we discussed yesterday. Um, and then from there, I'll let you drive where you want to go and what strategies you think might work, and we can
Yeah,
trial
okay.
those over the next week. So let's have a
Okay.
look at and have a quick review first. So the goal for this work is that overall classroom management will be managed. Sorry, So improve overall classroom management by reducing phone usage, disruptive talking, and improve punctuality to class. This will be achieved by implementing what we've learned from the mentor sessions and focused on setting clear expectations, using positive reinforcement, and practicing consistent routines. Our success will be measured by reducing a 50% reduction in phone usage incidents, fewer interruptions during class discussions, and at least 80% of students arriving on time. So that's the kind of goals and measures that we may be able to place. How do you feel about those?
Yep, yeah, let's see if we can give it a go. I think the phones is going to be quite challenging, but I'm sure you'll come up with some good ideas.
We will come up with some ideas that will work. All right.
Yes.
So let's have a look, and we'll start with, I guess, our first objective, which is to limit phones. Let's start there. And so limit phone distraction and improve attention to instructions. So tell me a little bit more. How are they using it? Do you feel that they are using it for work, or you tell me how you're seeing that this is a disruption at the moment in class?
I think because nurses are so understaffed, I think sometimes it's a way of catching up with they see as the education as a break to be able to catch up and be sending messages and with people outside of the workplace. But
Mm-hmm.
then there's definitely I feel like there's definitely people that if you're in charge of an area or doing something, or there are those people that do receive phone calls and messages with staffing and things. So I think there's two possibilities, and there's just people who are just scrolling and probably being disrespectful because social media is just so easy to scroll.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a few things possibly going on, obviously time poor, using that opportunity to
Yeah. Okay.
maybe catch up on a couple of things, who knows? It could be sending emails, it could be paying a bill, I don't know, because like nurses, we are very, very time poor and overworked, and I guess this could be seen as kind of a break
Yeah.
for that. So I think it's distinguishing between the two different phone usages, I believe. Like, I think because some will need the phone and others don't for that 30 minutes of education.
Yeah. No, well, that they're really good points. I mean, you've identified that they're two distinct issues, right? One, there is going to be a clear reason for requiring a phone in class, potentially for some students. And, opposing that is that they're using it, as you said, as a break rather than listening to learning. So different strategies, I guess we can look at on that. So let's have a think about phone instruction. Currently, do you have anything in your PowerPoints, in your slides, in your introductions, and actually overtly stating, this is a kind of a phone-free zone. We request, that we turn them off? No. Okay. No. Okay, so I guess that is something that we can start with in terms of your slide deck. Do you have a slide deck that you use for most? Yep. So I think it's something that we could incorporate. I mean, there's a way we can do it. We could, make it well, as you said, it's difficult because some of them but set that expectation. Okay, if you're coming in here, really appreciate for 30 minutes that we just pop it away. Understand if you're on call, but if you could at least put it on silent, please, and just put it to the side. And clearly, if you need to take a call because it's work related, just ask you to quickly step outside.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess that would be potentially tactic one. Do you see how that could work in how you're presenting?
That could, and that's not going to come across as particularly sort of aggressive or anything either. It's just purely because it happens everywhere now. Like when you go to the movies or like most public places, people are asked if they could leave their phones on silent.
And this is you taking control back and setting your expectations of the class and how. And I guess from a social perspective, it's clear to everybody as well, right? So if somebody is doing the wrong thing, at least they're thinking about, maybe you shouldn't be doing that. And so clear expectations, I think, is your first thing that we maybe incorporate into your speech and potentially into your slide deck as well. Okay. The other techniques that have been used, and it will depend on the group, and it's something new to think about, is potentially the consideration of a phone parking lot or a phone-free zone during the instruction time. If you wouldn't mind popping in your bags, we don't want to see any phones on the table. Depending on the age of your students, we're going to just leave our phones over there. People, it may not work for your audience, but it may. You may want to designate an area for phones.
The thing is, you've got the watches too.
Yeah.
This is a thing, like watches going and people are, I guess you can't prevent that.
You're not going to prevent 100% of the time. But as I said, we've already said about setting expectations on the phone and then, putting them in your bag or things like that. Or the other option that people do is, depending on the length of your class, you may introduce structured breaks. We say, okay, guys, we're just going to stop for 5 minutes. I know people potentially are looking, still checking up on work. Let's take the next 3 minutes just to check anything.
They're only really up to 30 minutes.
Okay, so breaks structured breaks aren't necessarily.
Yeah.
Okay, so out of that, what do you see? Do you think anything? Have you got any ideas on what you might think about doing for the next session?
I did think that parking them could, but they're adults, so like leaving at the front door. We're not really going to do that. So I guess it's put them away so they're not seen. Only those who are on call can have them out, on silent. So setting all phones on silent, obviously, and then the phones that are needed within the department on silent, but they can sit on the bench and for calls to be taken outside of the room for those who need to take the calls, whereas everyone else, no phones out. And it's like a 30-minute commitment for furthering education and, getting your education points towards your nursing registration, your annual nursing registration. So it's only a 30-minute commitment, and it's being respectful, I guess, to those who turn up and want to learn or want to, and especially, to be good role models for the younger ones coming through too. So you don't create this disrespect culture, which is, yeah.
I love it. Yeah. How do you think that's implementable before the next session?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, you sounded confident and quite confident in the direction on that. So well done.
Okay.
That's really good. So I'd love to see how that goes after you implement it. That was really, really good. Okay, so let's move on. So we've got one strategy that you're going to implement for that objective. Now let's tackle student lateness to class. So what's your feeling on this? Are they late because they're just coming from lunch, or are they late because they're running from job, or what's your sense of why? Is it the same people, or
See, it's the same people who don't have that sense of urgency for that time. But I'm wondering if, like, say, 2 sessions back to back could be offered, maybe. I don't know, where if you can't make that one, then you're going to have to make that one. And maybe there has to be a lot more planning and the education going out with plenty of notice so that the department can plan and relieve people for their breaks to be able to do education and make sure staffing is okay, I guess. So I think, but it is the same people, but so not to target them, I guess, to make it so it's not really acceptable to be late. Because it's kind of that, oh yeah, no, I'll probably go and grab a coffee, then I'll just turn up and sit in, and it's just quite disruptive. And I think there needs to be, if you can't get there by the time, then there's a second one, or then you can come the following week, and space it over different days so that there's different, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm loving the ideas that you're coming up with. I guess some of the and they do fall into some of the, I guess, more well-known techniques and different strategies that you could use. For example, just creating a consistent entry routine with a task on the board. So an entry routine might be that they have to sign in.
Yeah.
On an iPad. I'm not sure if you do that.
No, but that's a good idea.
Or they actually have to sign in as opposed to you. So, setting that kind of expectation that, you're there, you need to be there a few minutes early so you can sign in.
And maybe you don't get the education points if you're not there at the start, because it's all about getting your education points for your registration.
Yes.
So people turn up halfway through and go, oh, yes, yeah.
Your CPD point. So, I think that having a I guess a ramification, or there's a consequence of not being there for the full time, I think is an expectation that you can definitely set as a rule of class. Okay. And clearly there's always reasons why not, but as you've mentioned, offering potential catch-ups or 2 session times for the class might be an option as well. Okay, I love that. The other things you might want to think of is potentially having what they call a non-disruptive process for latecomers to join without needing explanation. So if someone is late, maybe the expectation is, if you're late, we ask you just to step inside the door and not disrupt students whilst we're in the middle of a slide. Okay, so you maybe, if you're late, that, we understand sometimes that things can go wrong and you might be late. We ask you just to come in the door, shut the door quietly and just stand at the back of the room until there's a break in presentation, and then I can invite you to find a seat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and also some class management. You might ask for students that are there on time, to move closer to the front potentially, or how you structure your room.
Because a few of these regulars sort of come in and it's like it's loud and they're kind of laughing and talking, and they do kind of stop it all.
Yep. Yeah. So that expectation is, understand, you're not blaming, all that kind of stuff. You understand. How about just for future classes, if you are late, could you just please just walk in the door just quietly, stand at the back, and then as soon as there's a break in my conversation or my learning, my educating, then I'll ask you to sit down. Okay.
Yeah.
The other thing is, there is nothing wrong if someone is consistently chronically late, maybe having a private conversation with them. because you
like
don't necessarily.
how I can assist them.
Yeah. Like you, as you've already, you kind of referred to, it could be that they're from, I don't know, Ward X, and Ward X is constantly understaffed, or do you know what I mean? They may have a slightly different reason. So if they are, I think it's okay to have a private conversation, obviously not in class, but have a private conversation. Oh, you've disappeared. Oh, you're back.
Am I here? Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. My computer was doing something weird. Yep, no, it's all good. Sorry, I've been busy educating today, and I was just like, oh my gosh, has my battery run out? No. Talking about being prepared. But yeah, no, I agree. And then maybe talking, liaising with that department to maybe go on site to them, maybe, and go up to their ward and offer like an education day where people can pop through, maybe. I don't know.
So, because it's something that we haven't discussed is, this education is benefiting the company. It's benefiting them personally, but it's also benefiting the company. Okay, so obviously, yes, they need their CPD points, which is important for their career and maintaining relevance and things like that. But having that relevance on the wards is also important. So I like your idea. If that is, indeed a case where someone is chronically late because of a particular ward, for example, that conversation and being flexible in training might be a discussion worth having.
Just absolutely. To support them. Yeah.
Now, I guess one other point we may consider, I guess, is reward and acknowledge and consistent punctuality. Thank you. Even a simple thanks, guys, for being on time. You know what I mean? We've talked about also setting that expectation is, unfortunately, if you guys don't, I can't mark you off as having a CPD point if you're not here for the 30. So we're taking both. You're kind of reinforcing both, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what do you think in the next week? What do you think you'd be able to, what do you think you could implement?
I think definitely the phone, and I think starting sort of setting at the beginning some, thanking them for attending, but also just setting a few house rules, like with, try to arrive on time, because, then you get the most out of the education session. You can also get your CPD points, which is, really important. But also it's less disruption, but want to work with everyone to make sure everyone can make these appointments. So maybe having like 2 sessions so you can rotate staff through, and then it's a thing happening on that day. Because today's education, okay, these guys can go to lunch, then you go off to this session, and then the second group might try and do something like that. And I think also the mobile phones, I think, could be part of that, sort of setting the housekeeping rules, is that, if you need your phone and you're on call and blah, 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 then have your phone on silent in front of you. That's fine. And please take calls or outside. However, anyone who doesn't need to be contacted for 30 minutes, for all phones to be silent and away out of sight.
Yep, wonderful.
Yeah. So I think I could definitely do the 2 of those for sure.
2 of those. So we've touched on 2 of those issues already, and I like it. We'll summarise them before we finish up today. But I guess let's move on to the third. The third objective was strategies to explore in-class disruption. So we have more. Obviously, some of the disruption is to do with the phone. What other kind of disruptive behaviours have you seen?
Look, it does come around the phone and talking and sort of. However, I could approach if you've got something to say in class, let's have a part of the education session. Would it be better to have, say, discussion and what they think, and open discussion and questions at the end, or would people prefer to, maybe, I don't know. I think at the end to have an open discussion about, okay, what are your feelings on this and this? Do you think this will work? Um, will this do the job? I mean, maybe having it at the end rather than throughout the session, because it just makes it hard to get through the core material. So
Yeah.
maybe that could be a part of my, like setting sort of like structure of like having a clear structure of the education. So like, iPad check-ins, say, sign in with your registration, signature in, um, just setting a few ground rules, and during the education, write down any questions, or just, keep in mind, your questions or your thoughts or feedback for me. And then the last 5 minutes will always be a quick, okay, what do you want to share? What questions do you have? Feedback for me, feedback for the technology, and if you think things can be done even better, where it's an area that's forever growing and changing. So to have that opportunity, because you can say there's a lot of people with a lot of experience and knowledge in the room, and it's great for us all to kind of share that.
Yeah, I really love that. I do love that. You might want to consider, I know it's very good at this, given that you have only got 30 minutes, it's a tight time to get a lot of information across.
Yeah.
Agree. So structured questions throughout or at the end, or potentially if this an ongoing, is the program ongoing, so they'll come 1 week and then they learn more the next week and then it continues?
Yeah.
Because it could also be, I don't know, just have your thoughts on this one. Could it also be an opportunity to, one, give those latecomers a little bit of a leeway, give, a bit of more of an open, could it be something, hi guys, okay, well, let's just start by recapping what we learned last week. How were you able to implement it during the week? Did it work?
Yeah, just to get a feedback. That's a good idea.
Yeah, so I mean, that's just an option. Think different things to try, but it also might help with that engagement right up. It might help with if people are, coming in a little bit slow, that they're not actually missing any core material. Still setting your guidelines clearly and your expectations. Anyway, just a thought. So see how you think about that one.
No, that sounds good.
So a couple of other things just for you as well, because the use of questioning, I guess, as a trainer, using those open-ended ones is asking something of people, but it's also asking them to be engaged. It's asking them to share of themselves and, show them that you value their opinion. So they are a good strategy to use, open-ended questions.
And maybe,
Strategic.
Oh, maybe I could ask for challenging situations in the clinical workplace and how they've dealt with them, or how they feel this would work, or giving examples, because people love stories.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. Like, especially as an adult learner who will learn a lot by doing. But you've only got 30 minutes. So the doing is very limited, I guess, in your 30-minute class at the moment. Maybe it's a structural change, but I think you're right. Those case studies or those references, or how did you implement it? Could you implement it? Did it work? Is an important feedback. But as you said, it's the story, it's them learning off each other, which is also very important.
So maybe allowing time for that
Yeah,
sharing, clinical
yeah.
sharing.
So different strategies, different times throughout, but yeah, maybe have a think about that. I think that's a really, really good option. There's some other ones that you can also do as a trainer, like, and you probably might want to refer this back to many of your teachers, but there's non-verbal cues to address talking. So if you hear talking, for example, in the background, a non-verbal cue to address that talking is to pause your talking or to look. You know what I mean? If you pause, so what I'm trying to say, have you ever been experienced where you're listening to a trainer, people are talking, and if that trainer stops, guess what everybody does?
They look at where they're looking.
They stop. Yeah, absolutely. Or as you said, look, if you start looking out the door, everybody will look. Oh, now I've got your attention again. Great, guys. That was our little brain refresh. And
Oh, that's a good idea.
So, it doesn't have to be aggressive. It doesn't have to be, but if you stop talking, because the room will be quiet, right? So I guess they're going to be more conscious of the fact that they're talking and potentially talking a little bit loud.
Yeah.
That's just so that's kind of a wait time or a silent signal strategy for refocusing that attention back towards you. And even a phrase that you might think of is, there's practice phrasing for redirecting that behavior. All right, guys, we're a little off topic. Let's get back to what's on the board. Or we're going a little bit of noise now in the class. Let's can we just have a refocus now? We've only got 10 minutes left. So using that kind of language to try and bring them back, something that comes natural to you as well. So any other thoughts on that? On how
I'd love to say to them, oh, would you like to share? Obviously, you've got something really interesting to share with us. Can we all hear?
Yeah. Could be confronting, but
a little bit confronting.
And you know what? That kind of potentially, as you said, they're repeat students, so they're not just one-offs, right? They're ongoing learning. So I guess once you develop a rapport with them, you can potentially be a little more cheeky, I guess, but we don't want to be confrontational and put them aside.
No, it's just being a bit humorous there.
Humorous. I love it. All right. So let's refresh. Let's set up some real strategies that you think you'll be able to implement before this week. So before our next meeting. Let's really nut some down. So let's think about our phone distraction. What's one strategy you think you might implement between now and our next session?
To definitely introduce the at the beginning, just setting some housekeeping rules at the beginning with the phone, and just I think silent, everyone for their phone to be on silent. Those who don't need the phone for 30 minutes for work, it can be away, whereas those who need it to be contacted for work can have it on silent and out. However, if a call needs to be taken outside of the classroom.
Okay, I love it. Yeah. I think that's fair. I mean, it's not just their classroom, so they're not the only one in it. I mean, so I think that's fair, and it's confident and it's direct.
They really should be able to, if they could leave their phone with whoever's in charge, that'd be ideal. Or just to say, I won't be available for 30 minutes.
Phone, absolutely. Yeah. But as you said, you just don't never know what's happening on board, I guess, do you, or with patients. So I think they are clear. I think you'll be able to confidently, address that. I think that's great. All right. So it is a little objective for the week. That is number one. What about our lateness?
I think definitely having a sign in, and just making them know that, obviously things can go wrong, and staffing and timing, but to try and make the start to get your CPD points. I wouldn't say it aggressively, but if you're wanting your CPD points, you really need to be there at the beginning. And asking, would a few sessions spread over that day or over a couple of days be better to get people all there realistically on time? So that's without targeting the people that obviously just take their time to get there, but just making sure, setting, I guess, that you need to be there on time, otherwise come to the next session. So that's kind of not targeting them, but yeah.
But well, you're asking for feedback, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
On them, are these times working for you? Because sometimes they're just told to go, and it's not necessarily the best time for them. Okay, so that's great. Feedback is good. You're setting some expectations and around the CPD, as in they need to be there. The one thing I would add in is possibly. No. I think that's good. Let's leave that. I think that's good. Okay, so that's good. And then maybe if that's not working, what about the lateness expectations that they just hang out at the back of the room?
I think because you did mention that if you're going to be a little bit late, is to just arrive quietly and stand at the back, and then when there's an appropriate time, sit down.
Hmm.
I think I quite liked that.
Okay,
So
so that comes,
maybe,
yeah,
yeah,
setting your expectations for the
yeah,
class and how the class
yeah,
is run. Yep,
yeah.
I like it. Okay, and then disruptions. What's one little tactic that you might introduce?
I kind of liked the idea of just being quiet for a moment, although it'd probably be quite challenging for me. Um,
Oh,
but I
that's a
like that.
challenge.
I just like the idea of pausing to just regain and get awareness in the room that they're there to learn and that nothing is happening at that moment in time while they're talking.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
absolutely.
so.
I'm
Because I
looking
don't want
forward
to
to
make,
your, I'm looking,
yeah,
sorry,
sorry.
I'm looking
I
forward to your
just,
feedback on that.
yeah, yeah, because I don't want to make anyone feel awkward and saying like talking during class, but I might do that and also, and maybe during the setting, like the housekeeping at the beginning, sort of maybe putting in some discussion times to discuss each area to share and have it more as a let's share our clinical knowledge and experiences and bring it back into what's being taught. So then hopefully you're not just sitting there. So there's more that interaction.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. All right, so you've got some clear goals. I think you've got
Yeah.
for your phone, you have got setting some housekeeping rules around phone usage, which is
Yep.
fantastic. For your lateness, you will have, acknowledging that potentially people are late, but we have a sign-in process now. We have
Yep.
rules about if you are late, can you please just stand at the back of the room before a break and sitting down. Is there anything else on that? I think that was it for lateness. And obviously setting expectations and housekeeping, which is good, and about the CPD. And our third one was we're going to try and focus on the pause. We will call it the pause.
A pause.
And just
Yes, which is going to be quite challenging, but I'll see how I go.
so that's the pause within class. But as you said, also asking or structuring within the session that sharing element, that
Yep.
open-ended questions on sharing their work experiences, which is
Yeah,
good.
because then it maybe adds value to them as clinicians.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. That is so good. All right, so some clear directions between what you can do between now and our next session in your training, which is fantastic. So before we go, I just wanted to talk to you about, I have reached out to another trainer called Mary. Now,
Yeah.
Mary's been training for a long while, so she's quite an experienced trainer. She's not necessarily in the exact same field of you in terms of nursing. She's more on the admin staff and processes and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But she's definitely more than happy to catch up for coffee or something. So
Okay.
I will send you her details, and I would recommend you reaching out to her just for a coffee, catch up, and
Yep.
she's more than happy to share some of her insights on this kind of issue if you feel comfortable with
Yep.
doing that. And I've also been looking at the Australian Nursing and Midwifery Federation, which I'm sure you guys are all a part of, and you've probably heard of. But we do also have a colleague that works with us in this business who's also representative of that industry, or the industry association. I will also pass her name on, and she's very good at writing content and training.
Okay.
You might get a slightly different perspective of
No, that sounds good.
from that perspective as well.
Yep.
So how do you feel about that? How do you feel
Oh,
about?
that's really good. that's really good.
Okay, so you're confident to
Yeah.
reach out and call. As I said, I have mentioned I will send them an email and introduce you, and then obviously you can drive that kind of
Yeah.
negotiation and conversation. But just so that they know, I've spoken to them and said I have someone I'm working with. Would you be willing to? And they were both yes, absolutely. But I obviously didn't pass on your name at this point,
Okay.
just for confidentiality reasons. But I will do so with your permission. I will let them know that you might be calling them.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So how are you feeling? How are you feeling about
Yeah, good.
what we've
Better.
chatted about, and how you think you might go ahead and implement some of these tactics?
Yeah, better, definitely. I feel really really confident with some of those, and I can't wait to see how they go. As I said, I think the most challenging one will be the silence one for me, but the others, setting sort of housekeeping, I'm quite comfortable with doing that. And hopefully that makes a difference, and I hope that I'm available and I'm allowed to do all that extra education, but I imagine that's what I'm there for. So yeah, so we'll see how it goes. I can't wait to see how we go.
Yeah, and the extra education is an interesting one, June. It's possibly something you might want to talk with the training manager with. Just flag it at least at this point, saying, this is our discussions. As you know, training manager is aware that we're talking. They're the ones who've organised it, and obviously is also responsible for structuring the education and things like that. But it might be worth flagging it, saying this has come up in our mentoring program. I am thinking about this idea. I'm going to be, working through it over the next couple of weeks. What do you think?
Just to need to look at the funding of my education
funding, the resources, and at least you've got a sense of, hey, yeah, that might be a good idea. We need to talk to the department heads or the DOMs or whoever. So maybe flag it once you've got it in your brain, and maybe flag it as a potential.
Maybe get feedback from the staff first and see what their needs are. And
absolutely, it's a good point. All right, so we've got about 3 minutes left. So let's just, we're scheduled in for next week, correct? Same time.
Oh, yes. Oh, sorry. Same time. Yes. So can you just remind me of that? Sorry.
No, so what are we, so 7 days. So same time next Tuesday. So 12 o'clock via Zoom. Just as we mentioned, if that is difficult, just let me know as soon as you can, by phone or email. I don't mind, so we can reschedule. I do have a busy week next week, so but I do want to make sure that we're staying on task. So so let's do that. And I think, have you got anything else at this point, or?
No, that sounds good. I just didn't want to put anyone offside, because I'm new and it's a new role, and I feel like there were probably quite a few internal applicants possibly for this role. So I feel that there might be a bit of that going on at the moment. So I guess maybe creating mentor, like people within the unit that can become the champions of it, and champions in the department that can maybe be teaching, in the clinical setting. Maybe that could be an option to try and bring those people in who have experience, who probably feel a little bit undervalued or something. Maybe that's a whole nother project, but I'm just thinking, that might stop that disruptive behavior by kind of making them like champions kind of this these procedures on the ward. I don't know. And then so I guess that's
I like that. So what you're suggesting then is having people to potentially come in and demonstrate key techniques.
Well, to learn from me,
Yeah.
but then they can go and share and be a resource
Okay,
on the
like a train the
ward.
trainer type
Train
thing,
the trainer. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
or like oversee them. So those people that
Yeah.
are coming through the course and are getting accredited first,
Yeah.
maybe
So
use.
when I'm not around, there's people who can, share the information. So
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Good. See, lots of things that you can be doing. It's just going to take time
yeah.
to get into your role and things like that. So, we're focusing on some specific things, which once you've got nailed, you'll be able to, lead you into a lot more projects, I
Yeah.
feel,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. One question I had for you, did HR mention if there were any internal applicants? You didn't ask
No,
that question.
no, I didn't ask.
Because you potentially are right if you are getting disruptions that you haven't mentioned that they're aggressive or not wanting to be there or surly,
No,
which is good.
no.
But potentially something to look out for if new crop of
Yeah.
people come through. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that is something that can, frank discussions on things that can
Yeah.
be managed as well before they start to go
I
off.
guess I could speak to HR to get a bit of an insight, but it might be confidentiality there. So I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, something to think about if something, that kind of any of those behaviours kind of
Yeah.
appear. But
Yeah.
I think you're on the road. What do you feel? Yes?
Good. I'm ready to go.
Ready to go. Love
Ready to
it.
go.
I
And
love
yep,
it.
I've got to, and yes, I'm ready to go.
I love it. And all right,
Oh,
looking forward to seeing how you go next week then when we talk.
thank you. Yep. I'll put together a housekeeping slide and I might shoot it through to you just to check and see what you think.
Absolutely love it. And I will put some of our little discussion together as some of your
Okay.
perspectives. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye, June. Bye.
Bye. See you next Tuesday.
June. Bye.
Bye.